up, everyone? Hope we're all doing well. The UFC have confirmed that they're coming to the UK next year. They're going to be doing UFC London in March. So I'm going to go over what fights could be on the card. And of course, we're going to start off with who's actually headlining this fight night event. Well, of course, the big dogs are out of the action. You got Tom Aspinall, who wouldn't even be on a fight night now that he's champion. But he's out because Cyril Garn's just eye-fucked him. Then you got Paddy Pimblett, who's fighting for an interim title at UFC 324, and he's headlining that pay-per-view. So it wouldn't make sense scheduling-wise, and it just wouldn't make sense to have him on a pay-per-view and then put him on a fight night. So that's out the question. The guy who's been on a UFC UK card for a bit now, headlining him a few times, Leon Edwards, would prefer not to speak of what's been happening with him recently. So you're left wondering, okay, so who can really headline this card? And I've got the one what came to my mind straight away, Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy, undefeated, got somewhat hype about him considering he got that knockout, spinning elbow knockout over Aaron Pico. I'll say that hype's dwindled a bit because he hasn't fought in a while, but still the hype is there. We obviously know that Volkanovski's going to be fighting Diego Lopez in a rematch. But anyways, yeah, Lerone versus Movsar makes a lot of sense to me. A number one contender fight. Whoever wins that fight goes on to fight the winner of Diego Lopez and Volkanovski. That makes an absolute ton of sense. However, if UFC want to be awkward and because they're very weird with matchmaking recently, not just recently, but of all time, how about maybe Lerone versus Aljo? Again, Aljo, he won his last one against Brian Ortega. You know, dominated Brian Ortega on the, when it came to striking as well. Maybe you want to run that one. They've been chirping at each other on Twitter a fair bit as well. So they're kind of building it right there. In my opinion, you should go with Lerone versus Movsar. But hey, you never know. They might throw in a curveball and give us Lerone versus fucking Aljo. And now that, in my opinion, we've sorted out the main event, there's another person who could arguably be the main event. But in my opinion, I'm going to say he should be co-main. That's Michael Venom Page. I feel like we all forgot about Michael Venom Page because he doesn't fight that often, in my opinion, like, what, twice a year usually? And then he's sometimes going welterweight, sometimes he's at middleweight. I'm saying MVP versus Caio Borrello. I think that makes a lot of sense. Matchmaking-wise, the rankings, I think MVP's ranked 10th in the middleweight division, and Caio Borrello's ranked 7th in the middleweight division, obviously coming off a loss as well. I think that makes a lot of sense. Both big names sticking in the co-main. I think that'll do a great job. Oh, yeah, I'm going to give out some more fights, what I want to see on the card and think will be a possibility. But I want to pitch something. The return of Muhammad Mokaev. Hey, I'm not saying it will happen, by the way, but if you're going to bring back Muhammad Mokaev, because he's doing quite well outside of UFC, every time he fights, I see people talking about it. Once the fight's concluded, by the way, going into the fights, no one really fucking talks about him. But once the fight's done and he's got like a decent performance, like in his last one, he got that head kick KO, or was it a question mark kick? KO in the second round. People start talking about him in that flyweight division. It's on fire. But if Pantoji gets past Joshua Van, you're going to need more flyweights. You've got Kyoji Horiguchi there. You got Tatsuro Taira there if you can get past Brandon Moreno. You also need someone like Muhammad Mokaev, who's also young, undefeated, and was beating the likes of Manel Kape and Alex Perez before he got booted out of the UFC anyway. So I feel like Muhammad Mokaev, if you want to bring him back, this is a great card to bring him back to. Now, if you're going to bring back Mokaev and we do go down this route, who could he possibly fight? In my opinion, I think someone like Asu Almabayev. If not that, maybe a bit more generous because of the ranking-wise. Amir Albazi, who's ranked 4th. You got to remember, before he got kicked, he did beat Manel Kape, like, rather comfortably as well, even though it was fucking really boring. He did beat Manel Kape, who, I don't know where he is in the rankings now, but he's obviously up there, and if he gets past Brandon Royval, he'll be in title contention as well. So Mokaev versus Amir Albazi, or Asu Almabayev, someone like that, or maybe even Kyoji Horiguchi. Any of those guys, I think, is completely fair. Now, moving on, I'm going to get to someone who is usually on most UK cards. That's Nathaniel Wood, always in fun scraps. Just got that great fight against Delgado. I thought Delgado won, but regardless, it was a brilliant fight, very competitive, and just an absolute banger, and he always delivers. Now, you want to have him on this card, depends, though, because he did take a bit of damage in that Delgado fight, in all fairness, but if he can come back soon enough and get on that March card at UFC London, everyone's been petitioning for this. Nathaniel Wood versus Dan Ige. Everyone knows that would be a fucking unreal fight. Maybe start that to open up the main card. I think that would be absolutely brilliant. If you can't get Dan Ige because he is ranked and you don't want to justify Nathaniel Wood getting a ranked fighter, okay, fair enough. Why don't you give him the newcomer who keeps on trying to get a fight of Pitbull, the one who just missed weight against Pitbull. I'm talking about Lucien Kaita, been dominating in Octagon, was meant to fight Pitbull in Paris, and then missed fucking weight, and then ever since has been begging Pitbull for give him another chance. Why don't you do that? Because then whoever wins this one, grant them permission to go into the rankings. I think that would be a great shout. I think from what I've seen from Kaita, seems like he can get into some fun fights as well. What a great way to test whether he's UFC caliber by chucking him in there against a UFC veteran, Nathaniel Wood, who also wants to get into the rankings as well. I think that's a brilliant fight as well, if you can't get the Danny Ige fight. Next up, we have heavyweight prospect Mario Pinto. Undefeated, been looking really good. One of the better heavyweight prospects, in my opinion. And of course, he trains from out down south. When he did that speech where he's like, oh, I can't really speak English, but I'll give it a try. And it's like, hey, lads, fucking, you know what I mean? He is quality. Who do you match him up against now? I don't think you give him anyone ranked. I think you should take your time with him, because I think he is quite young. I think he's like 27. Take your time with him a bit. You could just rush him, but I think take your time with him. Give him someone like Vitor Petrino or Ryan Spann, who are just on probably on the cusp of the rankings, in all fairness. I think that's a great shout for him, and I think he could put on a great display what gets his name out there. And now the last fight that I'm going to suggest and actually matchmake is CLD Christian Leroy Duncan going up against Nursultan Ruziboev. Ruziboev was meant to take on Brian Battle last August and hasn't really fought since the start of this year, so I think that would make a lot of sense. But what I'd like a lot more is CLD versus Calvin Gastelum. Gastelum didn't look that good in his last fight. Missed weight as well. I think that would be a fucking banger of a fight. I think that would be absolutely incredible. Calvin's got an incredible durability, a granite chin, Mexican chin. He still looks okay in moments. He has his little moments, like the Chris Curtis fight looked all right in that one. He has his moments, but then he's also beatable as well, and could be a stepping stone for CLD, with it being an absolute banger as well, and testing him, because, his gas tank can be a bit hit and miss, and if, Calvin's going to eat all your shots, who knows? But I say that. But I sway more likely to Ruziboev, because the UFC will just simply want to get him out there. Calvin fought not too long. It wasn't too long ago, like a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago. Whereas Ruziboev hasn't fought pretty much all year, like the start of the years when he last fought. So either one of those two, I think, would be brilliant for CLD. And that's it from the matchmaking side of me. But of course, you've got other fighters who are going to be on the card more than like Mick Parkin, Mason Jones is someone I probably should have matched up, because I really like Mason Jones. You've got is it Javid Basharat as well? You've got a few people. Shauna Bannon, they love sticking here on a UK card. There's a few fighters there who haven't matched up, but I'm not going to match up every single one of them, just give you the main ones in my opinion. But what do you guys think? What are you thinking about UFC London? Are you planning on going? Me personally, I'm not going to go. I live up in Stoke, so if it was Manchester, Liverpool, Nottingham, anywhere Midlands up north, I would have gone to, but I'm not going all the way down south. It just costs you the tickets, the accommodation, the travel. It'll cost, and then actually at the event, it would cost way too much for me. And I don't know if it's finalized. It's meant to be starting at 12 a.m. It's meant to be starting at 12 a.m. Why? Why are we doing this? I understood when it was like UFC 304, a pay-per-view. You did it to accommodate to the American audience because they're the main audience. I completely get that. But for a fight night event, when you've done plenty of UK fight night events at normal UK time, have the UFC got some beef with us that us UK fans just aren't aware about? But anyways, I don't want to shit on the parade too much. Let me know in the comments what fights you want to see, who you think's going to headline. Are you looking forward? If you're from the UK, are you planning on going? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video. And if you have enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and even consider subscribing. And tomorrow, UFC 323, Jan's going to win. I'll be doing a watch along live on YouTube and on Twitch as well. So tune into that. Thank you guys. Take care. And I'll see you in the next one.